Creatively alive.
Creatively alive.
Creatively alive.
Good morning, good afternoon,
morning.
good evening, whatever your time zone is. Welcome and thank you for joining us at Duzie Live today.
Today is that day that I've been looking for all week because we're going to take a deep dive into the ABCs of living creatively.
Woo!
I don't know the last time
exciting.
You focused an hour back on your ABCs, but we're going back in time so we can go forward in our creativity.
So we invite you to inspire your creative life, and we invite you to inspire our creative life today on Duzie Live. This is an exciting topic for us. We have been living it the absolutely complete month, day by day by day.
Nonstop.
And we are just like in the zone, and we welcome you to the zone as well.
So who's in the house so far?
Wow, we've got them rolling in. Thank you for joining us. We got Helen coming in.
Helen, thanks
from the
for joining us.
And Vera is coming in.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
From
Well,
Uruguay.
but good to see you anyway.
Hannah's coming from the UK. Helen, back to the basics, kindergarten,
Yeah,
huh? Oh, the
nice.
ABCs. Oh, it's much farther than kindergarten.
You got to go back to go forward.
That's right. It started there. And we've got Liz coming in from South Africa.
Hey,
Woo-hoo!
Liz. Mama Liz.
Hi, Liz. Thanks for joining us. Cheryl Potter from Michigan. David Taylor. Wow, you're coming in from the UK, even in the midst of your coaching mastery certificate course. We're blessed that you've joined us. Kim.
Oh,
Kim, thank you for joining us. Where are you coming from? I'm not quite sure where you're at the morning. Andreas.
Ohio, I think. Maybe. I'm not sure.
Good guess. Let's see
Andreas,
if you're right.
Welcome.
From Uruguay, we've got Debbie coming in from Michigan. Welcome in. And Lori, where are you coming in from?
Yeah, I just have to ask my mother something. Sorry for this. We're going back to ABC, so we got to talk to my mom for a second. Is Dad also with you there? Because today is a very special day for my dad. I want to know if he's in the house at the moment or if he's coming. So, Mom, if you would,
just give us a message.
If you're both there or not.
We were wrong. We were both wrong. Kim's coming from Virginia.
Oh, Virginia, yes.
And Kim Greeby, welcome.
Hi, Kim.
Are you coming to us from the Logos Hope?
Oh, cool.
Thank you for joining us. So awesome to have you.
Congratulations to you guys as you are now focusing on the ship direction, and what a huge load on you right now. In the unknown future, we're praying for you, Kim. Let Randy know that as well.
Yes, Randy's the new director of the Logos Hope. We are blessed that he was chosen.
Who is Megan? Megan's here.
Megan from Sheffield, UK. Thank you for jumping in with us. Yes, we are going to inspire your creative life. You might need to put on your seatbelt today because we're cruising through a lot of very exciting things. Birthday boy is here.
Birthday boy is here. Okay, everybody around the world, this is my dad's 82nd birthday.
So we're going to sing.
Amazing guy. I mean, he is my mentor. He's my hero.
He was your best man in the wedding?
He was my best man in the wedding.
He's absolutely
from
amazing.
From around the world, let's sing happy birthday to my dad.
In whatever language you want. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Don Potter.
Dad.
Happy birthday to you.
And many more. Y mucho más. And everything else. Happy birthday, Dad.
We're celebrating. Awesome.
Wish we could be with you, but another day.
Yep. As you're still coming in, please feel free this whole entire time while we're on Duzie Live to use the chat. Put your questions, your comments, your emotional outbursts. We're going to present some parts of living creatively, and then we're going to hop into the chat and have you respond. Then we'll go back and forth. So please, at any time, just write anything in the chat, and we are looking forward to interacting with you. Thank you for joining our Duzie Live community today.
So we're going to go for about an hour, and then we're going to bring it into this portion, and then we're going to go backstage. So if you want to hang around and just ask questions,
any questions
on the subject of the ABCs of creativity or how to be creatively alive or any subject, after the hour in the backstage, we just have a chat time. So that will be a great time to do that. We hope you can stick with us for both the show and the backstage.
So Dan, tell us, what do they need for this time together at Duzie Live?
So I'm going to give you 30 seconds to get a few things. You're going to need to have a piece of paper, and a pen, or your journal, your notebook, whatever. You need to have those things with you.
Or if you take notes on your phone, that's also allowed. Whatever you want to just take notes on.
You'll need to have something to drink. Get a coffee or a cocoa or water, something to just, not too much, because you don't have to keep going to the bathroom. But you want to have a nice
coffee
drink
this morning.
Yep. And then the third thing, I want you to think about what there is coming up in May that you want to grow in your creativity. We're going to be working not just at what are the ABCs of creativity, but what is it specifically? One thing that in May you want to grow, maybe exponentially, I don't know, but a creative area in your life, a specific area that you want to grow in May. We want to begin there when we come back in about 30 seconds.
All right.
Nine, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All right, welcome to Duzie Live with the focus today on living your life creatively according to the ABCs, that you may be a person that is creatively alive.
Woo! We want to warn you that we're going to give you a challenge, and this challenge is what we're calling the Creatively Alive Challenge. We're going to tell you more about it, but this is a challenge that every day you will live creatively alive. Now, we're going to give you a lot of resources that will enable you to do that. So stay tuned, but be ready for the Creatively Alive Challenge that starts today, but really is the focus of the whole month of May.
So the whole month of April was on courageous creativity and creative courage, that whole area of imagination. If you followed us on the socials, you know every day we've put out a video on one of the ABCs of creativity. But we haven't taken time to really explain the story behind it. What is the lesson we can learn from each of those? So we're going to take some time not to unpack our whole workshop. We won't be able to do that, but we want to interact with you to find out what areas in your life you want to know more about. Because these 27 actual areas, these lessons, these practical ways of living
creatively
help us all the time. I'm always going back to some of these principles to move me forward.
It just brings me to tears. Good. Yeah, it's so good.
Brings you to tears.
Yes.
So that's what we've been doing in April. So today is really just to unpack it with you, and we need to have your opinion. So there will be different polls as we go through to know, do you want us to talk about A, B, C, D, or E? Which one? You're going to vote on it. That's the one we're going to focus on at that time.
Yes. So what I want to do is allow for a file to be downloaded. It is the ABCs of Living Creatively. You can download this at any time right now. And I'm going to try to screen share. I haven't ever done this successfully yet. So let's see if we can do this. And I would just want to show you through. Oh, let's see. Sure. Share. How do I do that? Maybe I'm not going to be successful at this. Help me with this.
You share.
Here we go. Share. Okay, here's the ABCs of Living Creatively. I'm inviting you to download. And here is a whole entire PDF document, 58 pages. And it looks something like this. We start with the ABCs, a bit of an inspiration. And again, we want to encourage you to go to YouTube, Suzie Potter. That's right there on one of those initial pages. That is all of the ABCs of Living Creatively. For every one of the ABCs, there will be questions to ask yourself to process through. And there is a creative life challenge. Now, it starts with the ABCs. So we go through each one individually. Here's a little write-up about it. And here are the questions for the ABC, the Arrest Your Creative Thieves, and the Creative Life Challenge. And then it goes on to B, C, D. So you get the idea. And so we want to encourage you now or anytime during this broadcast to download the ABCs of creativity. And we just want to go right back to our stop sharing. How do I do that?
Yep.
Okay, let's see. I think I successfully did it.
Well done.
How was that? Did you guys see the book okay? The PDF book? Give me a yes if you saw it. We're able to see it clearly. I don't know if what I thought happened actually happened.
Let me just tell you, you are the first people, because you are with us today, to ever receive that book in that form. It isn't even officially published yet, but we wanted to make it into an ebook specifically for you, because the challenge is we want to, in May, meet together from time to time on the Fully Alive Revolution Facebook group, in that group, and encourage each other. Whatever that desire for creativity is for May, we want to help build each other up. We want to walk through the ABCs together. So we're going to talk about it today with the challenge that we are moving forward.
All right, I just want to show one more window. Let's see, am I going to be able to do this? Oh, I guess I can't. Okay. No, we have the Fully Alive Revolution. It is our Facebook group, and this is where we're going to be very active if you are on Facebook. If not, no problem. We have other options for you as well.
Yep. So what we're going to do, we're going to start moving quickly through the ABCs, but I want to give you, if you haven't been following, a quick view, about a 2-minute view of all the ABCs, what we're going to be talking about today. Okay. And as we're going through, I would love you to think of which one is your favorite. And in the chat, write down, you can write down the letter, you can write down the whole statement, but which one hits you as, this is my favorite?
It inspires you, or it's a challenge for you, or it just hooks you and say, yes, that's the one. Love to hear from you.
Hi there, my name's Dan.
And I'm Suzie, and together we're Duzie.
And this is the ABCs of
Living Creatively.
Now, A is arrest your creative thieves.
B, brainstorm your norm.
C, curiosity kills the can.
D, do hard things.
E, expose yourself to new experiences.
F, fail forward.
G, good is greater than perfect.
H, hatch a daydream.
I am creative.
J, just do it.
K, kaboom!
Let it pop. L, learn something new every day.
M,
Make. N, notebook.
O, opinions rarely matter.
P, practice, ... repeat.
Q, quit quitting.
R, risk is a creative law.
S, Sabbath rest.
T, transform imagination.
U, unique connections.
V, victorious cycles overcome vicious cycles.
W, wonder.
X, Xanadu.
Y,
Yep. Z, zany.
and apostrophe S,
Show up. Thank you so much for watching our quick review. If by any chance you haven't seen the individual videos, we encourage you to jump on YouTube, Duzie Potter, and watch the whole playlist. There's also a write-up under each of the videos if you want to have more information about that particular ABC of living creatively.
We want you most of all to do that. Live creatively.
See you soon.
All right, welcome back.
Here we are. We're seeing you soon. All right, let's hop to the chat. Which was your favorite? Let's see what you said. Continue to put them in. Oh, Illy, welcome. Welcome in from the Netherlands. Okay, Helen says, learn something new every day. Megan says, we're in a waiting space right now. What a great time to start something new or looking at doing something differently we haven't done before. Kim Katura says C,
which is curiosity kills the can't. S, which is Sabbath rest.
And V,
victorious cycles overcome vicious cycles.
Helen says there are too many. Whoop, take them all, Helen. And Hannah says E is expose yourself to new experiences.
And I
declare I am creative. Keep putting your favorites right there in the chat. Vera says A. What's A? Help us out.
Arrest your creative thieves.
R.
This
is a quiz for you.
We've got risk is a creative law.
Yeah. S, Sabbath rest, and X, Xanadu. That's that creative space. Liz says I am creative.
Yes, you are.
Richard, welcome in. Thank you for joining us. Brainstorm your norm. Cheryl, good is better than perfect. Oh, love that one.
And make. I'm sure make is from my dad. He is always making something.
Happy birthday, Dad. And then Andreas Fast says C,
curiosity.
Which is curiosity kills the can't. E,
expose yourself to new experiences, and Sabbath rest.
S. And Vera says risk.
This is great.
Wow. You know what? I find this fascinating. Oh, Carrie, welcome in, Carrie. Carrie says wonder. I find this fascinating because every day as we put these out and try to interact on the social media and emails and WhatsApp messages, different ones have hit different people.
We woke up with a message from a friend from Denmark with basically said she woke up this morning with the thought of yep, and how yep made a total difference in her life. It was just an amazing thing. We love when we get these messages. I just have to read it.
Back. It is so good. She says, thank you guys. This came as an answer to prayer for me today. Be blessed and thank you for your sharing, inspiring challenges and blessings. Much love. And that was about yes. Just say yep every time you get a chance.
Liz, do hard things.
All right. And Illy says E. What's E? Expose yourself to new experiences.
And sometimes as followers of Jesus, we get a little bit nervous about exposing ourselves because we like our little safe bubble. But wow, when we step past that and we look around, God is so much bigger than we think he is and so much more creative.
That's all right. Okay. So we want to start with the very first set of them. And this is our first set. So this includes A, B, C, D, and E. So we want to talk about A, B, C, D, and E, but we want you to choose. You get to choose the one that you want to spend a little bit more time on, the one that you want to have a story told about. Maybe one of you is going to write in the chat an experience you've had with any of these five. A, arrest your creative thieves.
That's stopping those things. There are things that we're going to move forward to creatively in May, but there's a reason why you're not going forward. We need to arrest those creative thieves.
B is brainstorm your norm. This has to do with
some heads together.
Putting two heads together and have a little storm here. So 2 or 3 or 10 ideas are better than one. So get the ideas out there.
C is curiosity kills the can'ts. You have some can'ts in your life, and you need to arrest those things. You don't know how to kill them. That's all right. Just arrest them. Get them off your property so that you can move into the world of can.
And D is do hard things. This is one of my challenges for the month. Actually, I'm on day, I believe it's 60 of exercising every single day. And every day I go to it, it's not only taking my walk, I'm doing my 10,000 steps, but I have added a layer of body work. And every time I say, you can do hard things, and I am doing hard things.
This is sort of like our mantra.
This is having ripple effects in every single area of our lives.
And it's so frustrated when she looks at me and says, Dan, do hard things. It's like,
I also say it's me doing the exercise, but every day I invite Dan. So for 60 days now, I say, Dan, do you want to exercise with me?
And I say the same thing. No.
No, I'm making a video. Today is why. So he's making
I'm loving
videos
it.
while I'm exercising. We're doing our hard things
And
separately.
E is expose yourself to new experiences. We have to expose ourselves, have to step out there so that we can grow our creativity.
Wow. Okay. So you guys have put your vote in, and many of you said your favorite was already E. But look at here. This is what's come up. We've got 42% says expose yourself to a new experience. The next one is
28.
D, 28. I'm going to show this to you. D is 28.
They won't be able to see it. No.
Okay, so there we go. D is 28. The next one is equal. A, arrest your creative thieves, and C, curiosity kills the cat, and B, brainstorm your norm. Oh, it just changed. So now
do hard things and expose our neck and neck.
So is that what we're going to go for?
33%.
Okay, we're going to expand on those two. Do hard things, and E, expose yourself to new experiences.
So we're going to close the poll.
All right.
And let me tell you a story about expose yourself to new experiences. When we lived in Poland, which was one of the most incredibly creative places I have ever been in my life, we live 6 blocks from the creative center of Poland. It was an amazing experience whenever you went there. But every Thursday we would go downtown to expose ourselves to something new, something to grow our creativity.
It was an awesome place.
And there was this one day where Suzie says the ballet, the experiential ballet of Krakow or whatever was performing that night, and it was like, ballet. I think I'm busy. There was nothing in me that wanted to go to the ballet. So with Suzie, yes, but not to the ballet. Well, she convinced me to go, and we were fortunate enough to find a seat on the very last row.
Way up high where you could see everything.
I thought I was going to be sleeping. Well, they started, and for 2 hours, it was the most magnificent thing that I had ever experienced in my life. Matter of fact, when I went home that night, I wrote an incomplete drama. Now, the interesting thing is there was no ballet
in the drama. Yeah.
There was none of the stuff I had seen, but exposing myself to that moment allowed me to move forward in my own creativity.
Yes, and in that season in Poland, we have written over 100 dramas because we were exposing ourselves to new experiences. We're also very blessed. We had a couple called Rob and Rach that came and lived in our area, and every Thursday they came to our house and watched baby Joshua, and we went out for our creative experiences.
Why don't you go on to D?
D. Okay, so D, do hard things. What is a hard thing? When my immediate story that comes up is we love, first of all, to pioneer. We love to go in the challenges where nobody has done it before. That was really our Poland experience. They asked us to move in country, and we were the first ones from OM to live in behind the Iron Curtain in communist country. And we said, how do you do it? And they said, we don't know. We've never had anybody do that before.
Yes.
And so we took the challenge and we did the hard things. We learned how to live. We learned the language. We had a team of 10 people living with us. So that was back in the day. And then we had new seasons of starting Teen Street. And the do hard things probably for this current season for me, besides my exercise, is that we have learned. Now we're going on 6 and 7 new platforms since the beginning of January. We were doing online platform before it was coronavirus cool to do online platform. And so do hard things has to do with learning. This is my learning book. This is my second book. I've almost completely filled a second book of learning
in a month,
new things every day. So it's hard, but it's also, for me, very exciting.
One thing I would say about both the E and the D is it helps to have some creative partnerships. It can be someone you live with, but it can be just someone you know, someone who is out there who will help expose you to some new creative things. Someone who will say, hey, Dan, do the hard thing. Because these are not just principles that guide yourself. They're principles that help launch a creative community. And hopefully that's what we're going to become is a creative community that's encouraging each other to be fully alive in their creativity. So that's A through E.
Okay, so inspire each other. Will you choose one of those, D or E, and just write D, and what is your hard thing you're doing? Or E, what is the new exposure that you have or that you would like to have?
So D or E.
So just choose one of those and give us a response. D, what you want to do as a hard thing or what you're doing. And E, expose yourself to new experiences.
All right. And while you're doing that, let's move on to F, yeah?
Yeah. I just want to hear Helen's laughing. I love when Helen laughs. Thank you, Helen, for that. And Megan says, oh, I love exposing you guys to new things. This is true. We love that as well. Absolutely fantastic. All right. So let's go to our next group, yeah?
Yep.
Okay, go ahead.
F through J. So here's something, and they seem very simple, but I think they're so incredibly important as we move forward, being creatively alive. The first one is you have to fail. Now, people don't like that, but you have to fail. Fail is another way towards success, but you have to fail forward. Learn from those failures. Learn from those moments where you get up and you wipe your knees off and you move forward. Those are things you're not going to try again, but they're not saying you are a failure. They're just saying, here is one way that you're not going to do it. Try another way.
Yeah. So G is good is better than perfect. Greater than perfect. So I like it. Good is greater, perfect, gooder. Thank you. Excuse me for not being perfect, but good is good. So one of the things for me is that I want to do it perfectly. And because I want to be perfect, sometimes I don't even attempt it because I don't even begin to do something. It has to do with fail forward a little bit for me, that I want to do a good job, the best I can, even if it's not perfect. And if it's a fail, then I'm going to just keep going. And that's just the concept there, that do it well. In the beginning, when God created the heaven and the earth in the Genesis story, he created things and he said, this is good. This is good. This is good. He didn't say this is perfect. But when he created humans, he said it is very good. Not even perfect. We're not perfect. We're good, and good is greater than perfect.
H, hatch a daydream. You've got to give yourself permission to stop doing all the things that's taking all of your schedule. Some of us thrive on making sure we get our to-do list done, and we push and we push and we push. But the reason we don't move forward in our creative life is because we don't take time to daydream. Yeah. Some of the greatest works of creativity that have ever happened came from long periods of time where people just wondered, just had that daydream.
Yeah.
How do we put these things together? And I just want to give you permission. You may have been the kid that got slapped on the hand at school for daydreaming. I want to say I'm sorry for that.
Yeah.
Because your hand should not have been slapped.
That's right.
There is a need to pay attention at times, but there is always a need for daydreaming if you're going to move in creativity. So hatch it. I
love the idea of it because it's like an egg. That's the picture for us on the video. And you have to, like, the daydream is there, but you got to crack it open. Love that. I am creative. This is a declaration that we agree with God. So God created us in the beginning. The only attribute of God that we know is that he was creative. And then he created us in his own image. So I can declare I am creative. So I'm going to give you a challenge right there, wherever you are, out loud. Yes, you might disturb somebody in the same room or another room as you, but I want you to just say out loud, I am creative.
I am creative.
I am creative. And
I am
just
creative.
Declare it. This is like a very initial mindset transformation switch that allows you to be in that space of being creative. And J is just do it. So many times we have great daydreams or thoughts or ideas, and they just stay ideas. Action is so important in the area of creativity.
We have for years wanted to write the booklet that we have just downloaded to you.
That you are downloading.
Do it. We didn't do it for years until this month we said, we're going to write that book. We are going to write that book. We just did it. And now you have you have it. You have it there.
You have that PDF download. If you don't, you need to just download that.
We need to say this often. Just do it.
Do it. Got a couple comments with you from you here. I just want to jump into the comment space. Thank you for writing in there. Making new things, Cheryl said. Megan said, I really, there's 3 reallys right there. Don't like failing. No, it's hard to fail. Another way of saying fail forward is learn forward. Every time you do something and it's a fail, it's an opportunity for learning if we take it.
Now, I don't want to get controversial, but have you ever wondered how God dealt with failure? I'm not saying he was a failure, and I'm not saying he failed,
Okay,
but just take a moment and think about the Old Testament. Perfect garden, boom. No, it didn't happen. And then here is what we need to do, and then the flood. And then here I need a people, and then they don't go to the promised land. I mean, it is like a record of failure. Now, I'm not blaming this on God, but he had to look at it and say, but this is all going someplace. And I think for me, I always have to say, oh, I hate failure, but it's all going someplace.
Yeah.
And I think we judge ourselves way too harshly, much more harshly than I think God does, because there is nothing is a waste. Let's just say that your failure is not a waste. It's going to move you to something. If nothing else, to an amazing story.
That's right. So while we're talking about this, we're still taking messages in the chat. We want to put the poll up. Which letter would you like us to focus on of these ones that you see up there, F through J? Meanwhile, let's see. Another comment. Yep, I'm with you on that, Susie. I find it hard to do it just as good if I can't do it perfect. Thank you, Megan. Vera said, oh, yeah, I definitely love to tick things off the list. Dan says, I am creative. Andreas, it's so hard to daydream these days. It's always do. Yeah, this is true.
How about this? Do daydream.
Ooh.
Do daydream.
Yeah, when the do
daydream.
Ooh, you can hook it together. I love that. I like that. Learn forward rather than fail forward. Yeah, mate, that's just a perspective change right there. Vera says, yeah. Grieve it to go forward. Kim, we need to have you on as one of our guests. This week we had a number of requests to have a Duzie live in the near future on grieving. And Kim, we are wondering if you would be willing to be our guest to help us understand grief.
Be our guest.
Grieve it to go forward. That is very powerful. I'm going to grab that statement. That is a good reminder. Grieving is letting go of those things that really are gone.
Got some letters here.
G. Some of the greatest inventions were born out of failure.
Yes.
Thank you, Carrie. Can you expound on that? What are the ones you're thinking of? Liz, I always feel inadequate to do it. Yeah, it's hard. It's really hard. So we got the poll up. Some of you are voting.
Oh, this is a good one.
All right, we've got it rolling in. Oh, I love this because Duzie Live is the way Duzie Live is because of you. You always take it wherever we go, and we love that.
So at 44% right now is hatch a daydream. Hatch a daydream.
40. It moved to 40.
Oh, moved to 40. Something else just gained some.
Just do it, and good is greater than perfect are following in the close lead behind. And then we've got a 10% on each of fail forward and I am creative.
Quick story. I was in India. And I was having my time. I was having just a Sabbath moment of being still. When suddenly, bring that on? When suddenly this butterfly just came and it flew in, and I noticed it, and it landed right on my knee. And I was just in shock. I stopped everything I was writing. I was just focused in on that butterfly. And for a half hour, that butterfly played around me. It came to my shoulder. It went around my face, and I just started daydreaming.
Yeah.
How is that like something in my life? How can I connect to that butterfly? round and round for a half hour. I just embraced that moment with daydream. I was wondering what it would be like to fly. I thought to myself, has that butterfly ever had a fear of heights? All these things came to my mind. But from that, there was a teen street that was produced, and the theme has gone all over the world, metamorphosis. The entire metamorphosis talk came from that daydream moment, just looking at a butterfly and where that butterfly took me in my daydreams. It is necessary.
I think it's really interesting that Dan's the one who talks about daydreaming, because I would say he's perfect at it. In my mind, he is. He's an amazing daydreamer, and he also has gifts of strategy. So as he daydreams, he comes up with strategies. And many times, to be honest, I feel very insignificant, and I feel like I shouldn't daydream because I can't do it perfectly. But I have found that daydreaming for me is completely different than Dan. I daydream a lot when I'm praying for people. I daydream a lot when I'm thinking about connections and how to respond to people. So when we daydream, we can daydream in the areas where we're gifted at or where we have a need. I also daydream a lot when I'm journaling. So I'm dreaming about what if, and I'm praying into that space and asking God to give me courageous imagination to know what the idea could be, for example. So daydreaming can happen differently for different ones of us.
But the more you practice, the better you get. I spent 13 years in school daydreaming. That's why I'm really, really good.
Mom, you could probably attest to that, right? And then
that's something from Megan here.
Okay, Megan says, Dan, do you think it's easier for you to daydream because you're more of an introvert? Do you think introverts and extroverts daydream differently? That's a great question.
I have to daydream about that. I don't know. I don't think it has to do with introvert, extrovert is the way that we feed our soul. It's the way that we re-energize. So I'm not sure if what part daydreaming plays in that. It might be because as an introvert, we energize by being alone, where other people, it may be the difference where I would maybe daydream and an extrovert would maybe brainstorm. I don't know. It's a great question, Megan, as always.
Bring it. You daydreamed that question, I'm sure. Carrie was talking about failure. Just a response. Thank you, Carrie, for giving us another line there. Some of the greatest inventions were born out of failure. Liz says, I always feel inadequate to do it. Kim said yes. All right, Kim, we'll work out a day for the grieving Duzie Live. That will be amazing. Thank you for that willingness. Helen says, meditate, mourn, and move on.
I love, Carrie, with these inventions that were born out of failure. Microwave, chocolate chip cookies. Oh yes, more failure, please. More failure, please. And Apollo 13, the return to Earth, for sure.
Yeah. So Megan jumps in and says, the times when I daydream the most is when I'm surrounded by actors and artists and people like you. Feeling the love.
I want to be like you. Ooh, ooh, Scooby-Dooby-Doo-Doo. I want to walk like you. Talk like you. Ooh, nice.
You know it's true.
Liz already says thank you, Dan. Thank you.
Thank you for the metamorphosis daydream. It's speaking volumes. Yeah, when we were on the ship and we were doing the pre-ship training for people, our whole theme every morning was metamorphosis, because people were in transition from where they were at home to a training for weeks and weeks before they got on the ship. And many of us are in a transition as well. And that metamorphosis theme is very important for us to think as a parable.
Great book here being recommended. Quiet, The Power of Introverts. Oh, by Susan Cain. Amazing book.
Thank you for recommending
highly
that, Carrie.
Recommended. For extroverts as well to read that and understand.
Yes, because that helps you understand the introverts. But the power of introverts is that they are able to take their time and internally process. Probably the extroverts will have the first answer and the most obnoxious answer. That would be me making those ones. And the introverts take more time internally and they come out with gold. So we sometimes have to wait a little bit longer for the introverts, but it's absolutely fantastic. And we need to have both.
So let's
the
go
introverts
to
and the extroverts.
So here's the introvert moving forward here. Let's move forward.
Introvert, extrovert.
K through O. So the first one is kaboom, let it pop. Even as an introvert, this is so important that I have, when I cook, which I love to cook.
And he's good at it.
I love cooking soup. I love cooking all kinds of things. Even in a cooking situation, kaboom. Good.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean make it explode in the microwave. It means make it pop, make it special. Take it to the next level.
L, learn something new every day. We've been talking about this. One of the trainings that I just received the other day was talking about if you hear yourself in your head say, oh, I already know that, and you're tempted to switch off, you've already ruined an opportunity for living creatively, because there's always something new to learn. Even if you know the subject, you can learn about yourself in the matter. David Taylor came up with a question the other day when we were on our Zoom Next Gen Life group, which was fantastic. What are you learning about yourself in the midst of this situation today? So you can learn something new about yourself. You can learn something new for your mind, body, spirit, emotions. It could be about anything. There's always something new to learn every day.
M, make. I grew up in a home where my dad was always making something. We had a barn, there was a ranch, there was animals, there was always
Happy birthday, Dad.
Make. And back then my chores were make. And sometimes I didn't like to make. But when I moved back off the ship here to the house, one of the things I had to do is get my wood shop open again. And I would say almost every day I visit it. I make something.
Yeah.
Because it's so important to make. There is something I think that's released inside of us when there is nothing, and then all of a sudden there is something. God has created us to make. So we must make.
N is notebook. So it's very important to write things down, because we get them in more ways. We get them when we take it from our head. The experts say, and we put it pen to paper. It is a whole different process. It's a whole different concept, way to remember in your brain than even typing on a computer or something on your phone. And that's why notebooks. And recently, if you haven't seen that video and notebook, you need to watch that on YouTube, because Dan and I have unpacked all of our journals for 31 plus years. Since November of 89, we have been journaling every single
188 volumes.
So between the two of us, yeah. So one of the studies says you become an expert when you do it 10,000 times. And I added it up, and so far we have done 11,500 days worth of journaling. So far, it is one of the most valuable things that we have done. And so I guess we're experts.
And I just want to,
with our notebooks.
I just don't want to blow you away on this and go, I never could do that. Do you know where we started? We started on day 1.
Yep. And we failed forward because we didn't get consistent straight up.
Just do it. Do hard things. Go back through the list. You can do it. And the last area is opinions rarely matter. We're going to put up the poll.
Yeah,
I want you to be able to
talk
vote.
about opinions rarely matter.
This does not matter. This does not mean you don't take wisdom from people. It's not that. But I find so many people in the process of moving towards creativity that they stop or they change simply because of the opinions of others. And normally those people are just giving a thought, but the weight of it lands on people.
Yeah.
The number of people that I have heard that have said, my kindergarten teacher or my first grade teacher said, well, you'll never be an artist. So I never was. Yeah. Opinions rarely matter.
Preach
They don't matter.
Do you mean this?
We need to move past that thought that the world is there to make sure we're perfect. No, the world gives opinions. Great. You can look at the opinions. You can take them in, but they rarely matter. What matters is your heart, the things in your heart. A lot of pieces of art throughout history.
You're working it here.
I have no idea what it is when I look at it. but my opinion doesn't matter.
That's
that
right.
artist put something on
Yep.
that canvas. So please, whether you're in the wood shop, whether you're in the kitchen, wherever you are,
With
opinions
people in your
rarely
mind.
matter. And if you make a bad meal, it doesn't matter what everyone thinks. There's more for you. It just works out perfectly. It does.
Dan means this one. Okay, the poll is rolling in. You might not be surprised at what's coming in. The most passion was on O. So believe it or not, O got 75%. Look at you. This is what you said. Let's see. O, opinions rarely matter, 75%. L, learn something new. That was 25. So that one was quite an easy one. I'm going to end the poll and I'm going to stop the slide presentation. We're going to go into the chat. We want to hear from you. You want us to talk about opinions rarely matter. Let me just do a little PS or a note down the bottom. It's very important in our Duzie courses, in our Relaunch Your Life, in our Flow course, and really in every one of our interactions, we highly, highly encourage you to have a community, you to have your people. We call it like a target. Those people who are in the middle, they know you, they love you, they are journeying with you, they are for you. And when you need an opinion from someone, you need wisdom from someone, those are the people that you should listen to the most, especially if they know you and they love you and they're promoting you to be fully alive, the best version of you that God made you to be. But there are other people who say random things. There are people who, for example, might be on our social media that give us the impression or the opinion that this is what you should look like. This is what you should act like. This is what you should think like. This is what you should talk like. And those opinions don't matter. We need to have our foundation with our people and most importantly with the Word of God and what God says to you specifically. That's not an opinion. That is really you being in the love zone with God as your foundation, and then you having your people around you in the center of the target. Those people you should have conversations with, but the opinions should rarely matter.
Now, a key word there is rarely. We're not saying opinions don't matter. They do matter, but they rarely matter. For Suzie and I, as we're building this whole new thing online, some of our great influencers are our boys, their wives. They're speaking into the process all the time. But sometimes there's an opinion that they give that just, I go sit on the couch and I just drop my head. It's like, I'm never going to make it. But they're giving their perspective, which I so appreciate. But I'm also coming from a different perspective. I just read a different book than they're reading. Yeah. So I need to listen to those things. But I also have to say, opinions rarely matter. I'm going to try to get some wisdom from that. Yeah. But I'm not going to allow everyone else to dictate the direction that I believe God is saying to us, the things that we're learning. So there's a balance there, but because so often people say, just make sure you listen to everyone, don't offend anyone, which is just crazy. You need to also say their opinions rarely matter.
Yeah, I think opinions can be very damaging. For example, for me in 5th grade, I went to school, and before 5th grade, I didn't care what I looked like. I probably creatively dressed. I mean, I do anyways, but now I think about it. But before then, I didn't. I went to school. I put my feet up on the chair in front of me, and there was a boy in front of me who gave me an opinion. You know what he said? He said, "Your socks don't match." It was devastating. That opinion completely transformed my life in a bad way. I no longer had that freedom. That opinion was so strong. I didn't know the boy. To this day, I don't know his name. I can't see his face. I just had that shock. Let's just say shock. And it probably was a post-traumatic stress disorder, small version, but it transformed me. It made me freeze. It got me stuck. And had I had this, opinions rarely matter option for me in this creative life, I would be a different person today. And some of us are journeying with people like Kim. I know you're doing that, Kim Coutura, and many others who are in therapy or in ministry, and they're journeying with people because there was an opinion that went out so strongly and transformed lives. So we have to be really very careful what opinions we allow to matter.
Yeah. So please take that.
Tell us about opinions right there in the chat.
Tell us about it. But we're going to move on also because we still have P through apostrophe S.
Okay. Learn something new every day. I think. Thank you for voting on that one. But we have been talking about that a lot. Let's see. Notebooks keep us remembering the important thing. I'm just looking at a few comments here.
Well, Susie and I right now are keeping two notebooks at the same time.
Yeah.
There's so much stuff.
That's right. The make is important because we need to feel productive daily. It's important. Yeah, I think especially in this coronavirus time, very important. Megan says, I think the difficult thing is when it's people who you care about who are giving you their opinions. It's learning to separate them from their opinion. Well, could you speak about that? Separate the people from their opinion.
Yeah, well, I think that just makes
a good point.
Total sense, because if someone drives by and give you their opinion, it doesn't really matter anyway. But when those people who are close give you the opinion, they're normally giving their opinion to you because they care.
Yeah.
But not all those opinions need to be taken. And so you need to separate. I can still have that connection with them, but not necessarily do everything they tell me to do. Because many times people are giving you the advice that either they would want for themselves or that they give to themselves. And one size fits one. That's it. One size fits one. And so you need to understand that that advice was really good for them, but it may not be the best thing for you.
Awesome. Let's go to our next section, P to U.
P to U.
The P to U. Let's start with P, practice. Practice, repeat. Now, anything that you're going to eventually do well, this is where the 10,000 rule and becoming an expert comes in for me personally. I want to do things amazing, perfect, the best, the first time. But people who do well, who are experts in their field, are consistent every day. They practice it, and repeat. Again, we want to encourage you. The thing that we would like you to practice, repeat, is being creatively alive, living creatively, taking these ABCs of living creatively and putting them into practice.
Q, quitting. Nothing more needs to be said. Quitting. When it comes to creativity, quitting.
R, risk is the creative law. So jump in there and try those things that would be considered a risk. Do safe risks, of course. If you know it's going to be dangerous for your body, mind, spirit, relationships, any of those areas.
Don't operate a saw with a blindfold on. Okay?
Right.
That's not what we're talking about.
No, take those risks. And I think in this coronavirus time, we're getting lots of opportunities to risk.
Yeah. S, Sabbath rest. This is not just a good thing, it's a God thing.
Yeah.
One of the main sins, I believe, of people today who say they follow Jesus is we don't rest. We don't take that weekly Sabbath rest. We take it as another day to get something else done. Your creativity will thrive when you have a Sabbath rest.
T, transform imagination. So it is very important to have creative imagination and be courageous in that, but only keeping it in your mind is not enough. We need to take actions with it. And that's where transform imagination comes in. So take those daydreams, those thoughts, those creative ideas, and begin to put them in practice. Small steps,
and
but
you
go for
is
it.
Unique connections. God creates from nothing. Humans always create from something. And it normally is take two things that normally don't go together and you bring them together. Unique connections. Everything we have is basically from unique connections. And that is the power behind creativity, is you take two things that don't normally go together and you put them together.
So you know what to do. I've got the poll up. P to U. Which which of those are you going to vote for that we talk about, tell stories about, and a little bit more? We'd love to hear from you. And keep putting in the chat your thoughts, your questions, your comments.
Oh, Megan has a great question here. What's the difference between quitting and moving from failure?
Moving on from
failure.
Yeah. Speak to that, babe.
Well, I think they're the same thing from maybe different angles. Oftentimes, failure inspires us to quit, to stop, to give up, or to procrastinate. Oftentimes, failure puts in us a fear that we're not going to attempt that again, where quitting becomes a habit that moves like water poured over rocks. It just moves everywhere. Once you start quitting, you keep quitting.
Yeah.
And once you fail, you have fear to try anything again. So the results in your life are very different, even though they look quite the same. So what we have here right now in the poll, 33% are looking at quitting. And then at 16. Oh, no. Ooh, unique connections. It just done up to 28. I feel like it's a horse race. And here comes practice.
Wow. This one's not as clear what you're saying. You've got a lot of varied responses. I'll show you the picture.
Quitting, unique connections. You got a few more seconds to write in the poll.
This is what we've got so far.
And then we will close it.
Oops, sorry. I'm trying to do the backwards thing. Wow, it looks like quitting and unique connections are the winning numbers. All right, we'll go with that.
Which one do you want to talk about?
Why don't you do unique connections? You start with that. Yeah.
If you study creativity, one of the essentials always in creativity is if you walk into a creative studio, like if you walk into the Disney Imagineering, you're going to find stuff. You're going to find junk. You're going to find all kinds of things. And people begin to look at this and they go around and look at this. If I am creating a new theme, like say for Teen Street or for MTO, something like that, I go to Home Depot. It's the first place I go.
Yeah.
I go to Home Depot and I look around. Or a toy shop. In the past, when Disney was open, I would try to get to Disney every other year. We go to Las Vegas. We go to different places where there is a lot of creativity, and I begin to put things together that normally don't go together. If you've ever gone to like Cirque du Soleil, they have taken circus, but they also take gymnastics, and they take water, and they take light, and they take fire. They take these things that don't normally fire, water.
And their YouTube right now is completely open with their shows.
Oh, yeah.
Cirque du Soleil.
If you have not seen it's just an incredible show. A
water show.
Amazing. $55 million just on the stage is what they spent. But that whole thing, I sat in row 5 at the live performance and just started looking at, they've connected a boat to trapeze. They've connected this to this.
That's
they've connected
very unique.
An umbrella with fire. All these things came up with an incredible show. So you have to bring those things together.
So usually in the unique connections, we find something that we're trying to have creative inspiration about. And then that becomes our basis when we look around the world. Jesus did nothing without using parables. And parables were just that, putting unique connections together. The kingdom of God is like the field, the sea, the woman, the child. So he put unique connections. He's the master of unique connections. That's awesome. Can you also speak about quitting?
Quitting.
That was the other one that got 28%.
I said some things about this, but quitting forms a habit. I remember when Susie and I were learning Polish, and we both started the university. After 2 weeks, I was so brain dead. It was just painful. I didn't do the hard thing, and I actually used a verse. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me, even quit. And I quit. Susie went for the whole year. I never got a hold of the language like I wanted to. I could communicate, but not deep. And that started actually several years of giving myself permission to quit. And I remember I had to come to that place of going, I can't quit. I must drive through this no matter what. Yeah.
So quitting. When you're encouraged to quit, just say, I can do hard things. A couple comments here. A couple of you are jumping in and talking more about Sabbath rest.
Nice.
That's really important for you. Sabbath rest. Andrea says Sabbath rest is something we're trying to pay more attention to think it's in the 10 Commandments, but we don't respect it nearly as much as we should. Yes, the Sabbath rest. And we're trying to do our Sabbath now on Saturdays because we're ministry full on Sunday and many of the other days. So our Saturday has become our Sabbath rest, and basically just unplugging from the normal things and giving space for God to speak to you, for yourself to slow down, catch yourself, to be filled with joy and peace again. Yeah.
One more thing from Megan, then
Megan
we'll go on
says,
to the
I
very
remember
last list.
you talk about Penn and Teller, the magicians, and how they don't get on, but how they do as a duo and they work really well together. Are they an example of a unique connection?
Definitely.
Yes. Is that something we should look at as Christians, looking at people who may uniquely inspire us, but we may not get on with?
Yeah, I don't think we're going to get on
thought.
with everybody, and I don't think we should
Great
feel
thought.
guilty about it, but I think we can learn from everybody.
Yeah, that's right. All right. And we're going to go on to our last set.
area. Sorry, we're running about 10 minutes late, but this is so much fun.
Yeah, we're having such fun. Okay, so we're going V through the apostrophe S now.
So V is victorious cycles overcome vicious cycles. Years ago, we had a guy come to our church, Otto Koning, and he talked about the pineapple story. I'm not going to go into it, but he talked about how sometimes in our life we get this vicious cycle that it's like everything that happens, you watch us online, especially political talking and stuff.
The downward
There's
spiral.
like this thing that if one thing, it has everything else to do with it, and everything goes in the hamper. It's just whether it's clean or not clean, it all goes there. That is a vicious cycle, and it gets deeper and deeper and deeper. A victorious cycle, when you're seeing victory, I have little wins. It actually overcomes the vicious cycle. It's about perspective. But if you're dealing with a habit in sin, if you're dealing with a failure you're having, if you can start looking at the little wins, the victories, the little victories, it'll take you up. If you're looking at, I am so bad or whatever, it'll take you down.
Yeah. W, wonder. This one is amazing. It's sort of like daydream, but it asks the question, what if? I wonder if only in every situation we had around us, we would say, I wonder. We would take a moment to wonder what else, what if, what could be, what is God saying? What could those people really mean? What would love look like in this situation? How could I share hope in this moment? If we would wonder, that would take us to a whole new level.
X. Xanadu. I just in the chat, if you would, if you've ever seen the movie Xanadu, just say yes. Just say yes. Years ago, I saw it. And I've seen it several times. But Xanadu is that place. It's that place where you are alive creatively. I have a place on my front porch that I'm alive creatively. I have a place under a tree out there. I'm creative. I have my office. I have several spaces
I have my garden
that I can go to, and in that space, I find Xanadu. I find contentment. I find luxury. I have a hot tub, and I sit there, and some of my best ideas come out of those spaces, places of beauty. That's why you go to museums, because it is that
nature
wow moment.
Yeah,
and so we need to have those spaces in our life or create them.
And why is yep. So this is basically saying yes, trying to say yes every time you have an opportunity. Many people are more geared to say no than yes. We talked about this a few weeks ago on Duzie Live. But if you can say yep or yes or whatever the positive response is in your language, say yep every time. Try to train yourself to say yes. Am I interested in that? Yes. Do I want to go there? Yes. Can God do this? Yes. Yep. If we have a yes mentality, it will transform our creative picture.
Yeah. Even if you're painting and a piece of paint falls on that canvas and you're like, yep. And you keep going.
And you use it. So you use everything with
Z
the
is
yes.
zany. And that isn't wild, crazy, offensive clown that you don't like. That is amusingly, you step in with amusement. You bring joy. You bring It's unfiltered, and it's you fully alive, bringing joy. It's zany.
And S, this is the apostrophe S for ABC apostrophe
Most
S.
people forget the apostrophe S.
Yeah, and it is show up. Ta-da! So it is be present. You be there mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. You bring who you are, your fully alive being in that space, and you show up.
You weren't created for corners. Move to the center of the room.
Okay, we want to have a vote. Which of those, V to apostrophe S, would you like to hear more stories? Would you like to talk about? And meanwhile, keep the chat going, okay? Let's see, we've got a couple things. Kim says, Sabbath empowers me to keep going and not quit.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, I think that's a refueling day. Thank you, Kim, for reminding that perspective of it.
I have a friend who's in ministry, and literally on his Sabbath, there is no computer. He shuts off his phone, all those things, because he realizes that the world and God are still going to take care of things, even though he's absent for 24 hours.
Yep.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah, so good. Okay, your votes are coming in. I'm not sure if you're still voting, but we've got an interesting slew of responses here. So far, we've got 40% at Victorious Cycles. We have 40% at Yep. And we have 20% at Xanadu. Where shall we start?
Oh, it just changed. Something else just came in.
Oh, yeah, we got
33, 33, 33. Ooh,
and the race is on.
Xanadu, neck and neck.
Okay, I'll show you.
I was like, come around corner on, neck and neck.
Okay, so here we go. So we got Victorious Cycles, Xanadu, and Yep. Which one would you like to start with?
Oh, Victorious Cycle just jumped to the lead. 42%. I'll start there.
Okay. All right, I'm going to take another picture. That's great. We're listening to you. We're responding to you. Thank you for putting your vote in. Thank you very much for, just for your responses as well. All right, let's see. So, okay, here we go. So, Kim says, love, you were not created for corners. That's right. We're also not created for boxes. Boxes are for things, not for people. I heard that one this week, and I thought, oh, that's amazing. Liz says, Sabbath helps me to function in a fresh way. And Richard says, Sabbath rest is very special. Yeah, thank you. So
let's start with the Victorious Cycles.
Yep, that's the one that jumped to the top.
The reason they're called cycles is they come around, and they come around, and they come around. It's a cycle. And if you feed the victory, if you speak the positive things, there are some people that naturally, everything, I call them Eeyore. Natural, there's an Eeyore, and they go down.
Everything is bad.
It may be beautiful today, but it's going to rain tomorrow. That's a vicious cycle, and we've got to get out of that. We've got to be much more, I don't know if Tigger is the one I would say, but there is this momentum in seeing the good. There's this momentum in victory. Yeah, I didn't finish the whole project, but this is what I did last night. And there is celebration. And I think that's the key. You either create chaos and grief by viciousness, or you create celebrations. And I don't think we create enough celebrations, little celebrations. If you at least bought your pen that you want to start doing poetry with, celebrate that.
You've taken a step.
Little victories create a new cycle.
I just want to say about vicious cycles, that's the one that gets me the most. And the vicious cycles for me usually happen in my mind. So it's my self-talk. And I've been retraining myself and trying to be very aware of my self-talk. That's why do hard things is really important for me right now, because I don't say yep many times. I say, oh, I can't, this or that. So one of the affirmations that gets me out of my vicious cycle is knowing Bible verses and having that memory, those things that I can just pull up. One of my self-talk that I'm talking about right now is I am standing firm, planted, deeply rooted, and bearing fruit in every season of my fully alive life. And this comes from both Psalm 1 and Ephesians chapter 3, the last part of it. And so I see myself as that firm tree that's going down roots. And those trees have seasons. And so my vicious cycle would tell me, you're not seeing progress, or you're not bearing a fruit yet. Yeah, but it might be a different season where my roots are getting strong. And that's one of the things that I say. Another one that I'm saying about myself when I'm physically struggling and my vicious cycle is taking me down is I am vibrant and beautiful from the inside out. So this reminds me to put my focus in God, growing my time with God, my being in the love zone with God. Like Caroline Leaf talks about, being in that love zone where we're loved by God, and my firm tree is growing from that. And that takes me from my vicious cycle up to a victorious cycle. Mm-hmm. It's hard internal work, very hard. It's not easy. There's a lot of learning forward in the process as well, but we can transform our vicious cycles into victorious cycles. And sometimes we do need help from people around us.
Let me talk a little bit about Xanadu. I think because we don't love ourselves as much as God loves us, we don't think we're worthy of those Xanadu places, those spaces that make us fully alive. We almost feel like we need to go back to Egypt and make a brick because we find our value in bricks. But I have to tell you, there is the creative catapult that comes from when you go to that space. Now, I don't think I'll talk about beauty, and I don't think I'll talk about contentment, but let me just speak about luxury for a moment. As people who work full-time in faith, I feel guilty sometimes by buying the best product, to buy
even a good product,
the luxury. And yet, the times where I have the joy, I just for instance, I one time bought a pair of shoes that cost me $200. I looked over my shoulder to make sure no one was watching, but these shoes were amazing. They were just amazing. And today,
it's definitely not the normal.
Years ago, I did that. I don't think I've ever done it since. But today, when I decide it's time to be creative, Dan, I go get those shoes. Those shoes go on my feet. And I step into my office with those shoes on. And it just does something. There's this.
It's inspirational.
Yeah. These are my luxurious shoes. And they take me someplace. Sometimes don't buy the cheapest paintbrush. Buy the one that this one costs. I know some people have these pens that are really expensive. I don't have any really expensive pens. But they say, I've had this pen for 32 years. I'm like, what? It was a luxury. But yet it is their moment.
Their signature.
It is their moment.
Yeah. So Xanadu, beauty, luxury, and what was the third word? Contentment. Yeah. Where are you content? One of my Xanadu places is walking around the house right now. It's spring. We're trying to take our garden back from the weeds and the poison ivy. And I've been planting bulbs, and I have things that are sprouting up. And 2 days ago, when we were taking a walk, there was some generous person who put out by their mailbox all these plants, free to a good garden. And I was like, I have a good garden. It's not a perfect garden, but it's a good garden. So we drove the car back. We picked up these plants, and I'm so Xanadu'd in that space. It is a contentment. It is a peaceful, it is a God connection space for me. So where are those spaces for you? And what does that look like for you to have shoes or spaces or garden plots or a chair or a mug? And when you get to that spot, it's your Xanadu place.
There's a lot of people speaking about Sabbath. I think one time we just need to do a Duzie Live just on Sabbath, because there's a lot of talk on this, and I think I would love to unpack that more.
If you are interested in a Duzie Live being about Sabbath, just write the word Sabbath or just write S in the chat. We just want to hear your responses. Meanwhile, Kim Coutura says about body image, I'm learning to celebrate non-scale victories.
Yes.
It's not about the number on the scale, but that I'm standing taller because my core is stronger. Me too. Me
Yes.
too. Yeah, the scale doesn't always tell the truth to us, does it?
But I found something out the other day. I got on the
Yes.
scales. I've lost 10 pounds. And then I got on and it was like, I was up 3 pounds. It was like, how did that happen? How did that
In
happen
one
overnight?
day, right?
And Susie said, lean back. I was like, what? She says, lean back on the scales. I didn't know this, but I leaned back on the scales. I lost 3 pounds. It was like, oh, a revelation.
So
So
Dan's walking around like this.
I feel much thinner today. It's incredible.
But if you stand up taller, you look 10 pounds lighter, they say.
Lean back on my scales. You'll lose 3 pounds.
Preach it out, Dan Vera says. Liz says, my victorious cycle is helping me to believe more in myself. Yeah. Each of us have something that makes a difference for us. Victorious or vicious. Vera says, yes, Susie, hard internal work. We can do hard things. That's right. Andrea says, S, please do. Sabbath. Liz said, Cheryl says, S. Vera, Sabbath. Illy, Sabbath. Megan says, preach it, Kim. Yes, Andreas is laughing twice. Oh, it's a good
Nice,
laugh.
a lot of laughs.
Okay. This
right.
must be about you leaning back on the scale.
It works. It works. They say, don't try this at home. Try it at home. But anyway, we come to the end of the ABCs. And the
Bravo,
whole idea,
you made it through.
you know, when the apostrophe mark is there, it means one of two things. It either means ownership or it means it is designated something that is absent or invisible. And I think the show up is basically that. We need to either step forward to be creatively alive and take ownership of that, or we need to just say, I'm going to go back to my corner. And hopefully you don't do that. But that's what that it's apostrophe mark show up, because you have a choice at this point. You either take ownership or you become absent and invisible. And you're the only one. No one can make that decision for you. And so as we go into May, the challenge is this. Let's make May the month where we live creatively alive. And we're going to give a challenge. We have a Facebook group called the Fully Alive Revolution. And all during May, we're going to be on there. We're going to be talking about, for me, here's my decision. What I'm going to create. What have I procrastinated on? It is a podcast. I want to have a podcast. I've done nothing about it. In May, I'm going to walk through my steps. I'm going to talk about my failure. I'm going to talk about those things that I need to talk about with you. And I would like you to bring yours on as well. If you're not part of the Fully Live Revolution, go on there, click you want to join. We'll invite you in. But starting May 1st, we're going to take a month to really look at what is it in this month that I desire to grow in creatively, and then how together as a community do we inspire each other to be creatively alive.
Yep. And so you got the hashtag right there. It's hashtag creatively alive. And we want to be very active in the Facebook Fully Alive Revolution face page. We'll put it on an email to you, all these links that we're talking about here. But the challenge can already start today. And in that Fully Alive Revolution space, we're going to go live multiple times, maybe even every day or every few days, because we don't have a video to create every day. Woo! we get to have a different creative life this month. Yeah, it's been amazingly, busily awesome. But we're going to go in there. We want to encourage you to put a message in the Fully Alive Revolution every day should you take this challenge. It can be one word. It can be a video of you talking, a selfie video where you're declaring the truth and you're telling us how you're trying to live creatively alive. It could be a little paragraph. It could be a picture of what you're doing or what you're dreaming about doing. And what we encourage you to do is take that PDF file that you're downloading right here now or in the replay, that you're taking that PDF, and you can take one of those letters that we're talking about. For example, victorious cycles over vicious cycles. And maybe that is going to be your creatively alive challenge for the whole entire month. One letter. Maybe you're choosing 3 of those. Maybe you're doing 1 per day, or it doesn't matter at all, but we want to encourage and inspire each other to live creatively alive. And for those of you who are fasting social media, that's okay. But those who are on, we want to invite you over to the Fully Alive Revolution Facebook group. And again, I'll send you an email with all those links on there. And let's just creatively inspire one another and let us know how we can help you as well.
What I'd love for you to do,
creatively live alive.
If you know it right now, what is the one creative practice or the one creative thing that in May you want to focus on? Not everything, but what is one? If you put it in the chat, I already put mine there. I will create a podcast in May. I will set that up. I will launch my first one in May.
I'll be with you.
That is my desire. That is where I am going to be creatively alive in focusing my creativity on the podcast. What's yours?
And mine is recreatetheduzie.com website.
Oh, yes, hallelujah.
Our old one crashed about 4 or 5 years ago. We couldn't add anything more to it. We got a new WordPress theme to put up. And I put it up and I started building it, and it wouldn't even allow me to have a blog in it. So I'm back to square one again. And Dan's helping me, but I'm the point person on that one. I'm the super user of WordPress, and he's the super user of the podcast. And these are the 2 new things that are coming this month in May. So what about you? Do you know what yours is yet? Do you know what your creatively alive focus is going to be headed towards? It might be in your mind, your body, your spirit, your social world. I don't know what it is, but it could be anything.
So in the last few minutes, I'm sorry, we've gone about 20 minutes more than we wanted to in the main program. We're going to have a backstage in a few moments, but I just want to encourage you with the fact that you are blessed.
Yes.
You are blessed by a creator whose image you are in. You were created to create. There are some words, there are some phrases that may have brought you to a place of vicious cycle.
Yeah.
You can make some choices this month to move past that. We have created these ABCs as a very simple thing, not to lock you up, not to put you in a box, but hopefully these will give you wings like a butterfly, that your creativity will soar.
Yes.
That's what we want. Soar. And
Yep.
the words coming from your mouth will be, yep.
All right. We have loved having you here. If you have found value in this Duzie Live, we encourage you to invite a handful of friends, 5 friends. We will continue to have Duzie Live every Tuesday at 9 a.m. and at 2 p.m. We're going to continue to have that for the weeks and weeks. So watch your email for the link. Please pass the message along to a handful of friends if you found this valuable. And if there's any way that we can support you in living creatively through any of these ABCs or any other area, please reach out. We would love to connect with you by a chat, by a video connection, by coaching. Let us know how we can support you. We would love to do that. Katie, you're back. Oh, I haven't seen you for a while. So nice.
So here are a few things.
Andreas Fast says, I'm building an online card game to play with friends.
Oh, so good.
Super cool. Please share about how that's going in our Fully Alive Revolution chat. Katie says, in May, I will submit creative writing pieces to at least 3 publications.
Oh,
woo!
So good.
Also, hi, came late. So cool to have you, Katie. Come whenever you can. Liz says, I want to start my garden and draw.
Nice.
Awesome. Do it.
Draw in your garden.
Kim said, transition to infection control RN educator job to be a ministry beyond the role. So I guess, wow, in a day and time that we have going on right now, God bless you, Kim.
Nice.
Wow. Thank you for sharing those things. Yeah.
So we're going to come to the end with one of our latest videos on, we've talked about it a lot, it's Yep. And after Yep, we'll come backstage and just any questions you have, we'll just be dialoguing.
Questions, comments, if you want to pop on video and have a chat with us, we have time for that. Just let us know.
If you need to leave, hopefully we'll see you on the Fully Alive Revolution Facebook page.
We're loving life.
And seeing good days.
Thank you so much for joining us. You can live creatively by why? Yep. What's the perfect expression if you want to live creatively?
It's yep. A few years ago, we were watching this teacher, and he was explaining about the marker. And he was saying, is the marker a rectangle in shape? Or is it a circle? And when you go and you surround it, you'll have to say, it's a rectangle and it's a circle, which is yep.
And I think that's the thing. When you take a 360 look around whatever it is you're trying to be creative at, you're going to get better perspective. So we encourage you to live creatively.
Yep.
Yep.
Right. Yep.
Thank you for those of you who are still with us. Oh, Illy, I love your comment. It's perfect. She doesn't know what her creatively alive challenge is. She needs more time to think about because she's an introvert.
Perfect.
Yep.
Perfect.
Yep, that's awesome. You can have as much time as you want. Let us know when you know. That would be great. Either in WhatsApp where we communicate or in the Fully Alive Revolution Facebook group. That'll be great.
So this is Backstage. Any questions you want to talk about dealing with creativity, anything we've talked about, anything we haven't talked about, this is just your time to pick our brain, and we'll probably pick your brain as well.
Yeah. Let us know. What would you like us to focus on during this time right here? Vera needs more time too. Megan says, I'm moving house in May, so not sure what I'm thinking. Yeah, you might need some time too. Definitely not an introvert, so you don't need the time for that reason, for yet other
Find
reasons.
a house that you can have as a Xanadu.
Hey, I wonder, I'm just going to throw this out for you. This Fully Alive Revolution, this challenge to live creatively alive in May. What are you thinking about this? What should we think about? What do you think would be a helpful thing? What have you experienced in other places, or what is your daydream about it that you could help us move this forward? Because we've spent the whole month.
Bye, Kim.
Bye, Kim. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for showing up, and God bless you with those amazing world changers that you get to live with. We love you all.
Pass along our love.
So tell us about what are those thoughts, because we have been living creatively in this whole creation of all these ABCs and the videos and the blogs and this file that is downloadable for you and everybody who is here live with us. It won't be available in the replay. So if you want to grab it now, then you should grab it. But in the process of that, we thought, it's been so inspiring to us. But just like Brainstorm, when we put other people's thoughts together, it's great. We were a part of something this week. We just caught in on the end of it. What was the name of that challenge that we were watching all those videos for? I have it written down. It's called Rise Up World. And on Monday, yesterday, they finished 23 days of, it was more of the entrepreneurs who gathered together in the world. And these top entrepreneurs, business people, spoke into, they had a live, like Duzie Live, like this every day for 1 hour plus. And they spoke their nuggets of what they're living for. And they were fully alive. And they kind of had the momentum of the people. And it really triggered us. Like, we have all these people who are rooted and grounded in Christ and trying to be in the creative path, trying to live fully alive as the best versions that God created for us. So how can we as a community, this has been our challenge, how can we be a community together, supporting each other? What value can we bring? What value can each of us bring to the table? And so that's like our creative challenge in the midst of this podcast, the website, and the Fully Alive Revolution space that we're encouraging you to be a part of.
Like what Andreas has asked here, what things have you done to be creative as a family, both as a couple and with your kids? One of the things we did when our kids were, they were in elementary school, is we would take every Friday night and we would shut off all the electricity. So the electricity in the house went off. And we'd take out kerosene lanterns, and it'd be like going back 200 years.
Yeah.
And we would play games, or we would tell stories, or we would do art. And that was a very, very powerful time, a time that we still talk about as a family. that we unplugged from all those things that
Almost
are
like a Sabbath.
normal, and we just had a night. And on Friday night, no one was allowed to come over. We did a special meal together. So that was something we definitely did as a family.
And we also took turns who would come up with the idea. So Josiah loved playing sardines and hide and seek. So
We had some amazing
almost every
sardines.
time when it was his turn to choose, that's what we did for hours and hours. We had the best hiding places as well, didn't we? So, I mean, it was different things, and the kids were all, and the two boys were involved in coming up with what we were doing and how it would look. Yeah.
As a couple, we made sure every year, and we still do this, we take one week and get away. When the kids were in our home, they went to grandma and grandpa's, but we got away and we just had a creative week. We wrote, we studied, we maybe went to visit something, we went hiking. We just got away to recharge our batteries and create together. That was incredibly good. Now that the kids are out, we're trying to do that 2 or 3 times a year. Just take a week and focus on us as a couple and what do we create together.
Yep,
So-
and that usually happens in nature. So many people ask, like, mountains or beach. If we could have both, that would be the best, because we love hiking, we love swimming, we love fun in the sun. So that usually is a part of it.
You also need a creative cheerleader. So those of you who are married, this is what Suzie and I do. And those who are single, you need to find someone that you can do this with. But when you create anything, you know you have permission to go, hey, Suzie, look what I just created.
Awesome! I love it.
Because Suzie and I had this talk just this week about, I don't know if something is good unless you tell me it's good.
And I'm like, it is good. It's always so good.
But we need people in
Yeah.
our life. So this whole creative within the couple or within people you know, someone, when I lived in Marlette, my parents lived across the street. If I were to write something, if I was to paint something, if I was to draw something, I would open my door, go across the street, knock, 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 show and tell. And it's just very important in the creative process to have those mirrors, people who reflect back to you what they see.
Yeah. Yeah. Great question. What are you doing, Andreas? What are you doing with your family to be creative? Maybe you've got some ideas out there that'll spark us. Megan says, for a number of my community, we're trying to figure out how to live differently in this time. And I think what Kim K was saying about grief was also that we are in a new, unique place where we can do things differently, but we're also feeling kind of paralyzed with uncertainty and fear because we don't know what's happening. This is so true. I think one of the most difficult things about grief right now for us in our world situation is we don't have something that's finished. And so we don't have an ending point that we can grieve over. We're in the pre-grieving of the coronavirus changes in our life without knowing what changes are truly going to be in effect. So we're kind of in limbo in the moment when grief is usually associated when something dies. So we might have a death of our old normal life that we would be grieving now. But the whole coronavirus, we don't know when it's going to end. We don't know what it's going to look like when it ends. And for those people who need more stability and need more answers, it's very difficult, and it's really a grieving process. And so that's why we think a number of people have asked for the grief. So a soon Duzie Live will be on grief.
This week we had to cancel our MTO experience in Holland. That was going to take place in August. Very difficult. We've gone 30 years straight. There are MKs around the world that they need that personal contact every year. They're not going to get it. We're going to create something else online. We are so excited about the new. We're so excited. What can we do online that we've never done before? But at the same time, we have to create a way for us and the teenagers to grieve because it will be a loss. So both of those oftentimes go together.
Yeah. Okay. My parents are on. Hi, Mom and Dad. Interesting morning challenge. We have a doctor appointment this afternoon for Aunt Jean, and they finally found the keyboard so he could type in and give a comment. Thank you for doing that. Andrea says, to be honest, I feel we're lacking there in creating things together and inspiring the kids to do. I think spending too much time at home is generating more free time and trying to fill it with meaningful things and not just entertainment. Andreas, what you need is our connections book. Where is our connections book? or Connexcellence book. So we have this book on PDF. And if you email me and say, please send me the Connexcellence book, it's a PDF book. And in the 4 sections, because we talk about how to interact, interest, involve, and inspire. And at each of the end of each of those 4 sections are 25 ways.
Well, not really 25, because the first one has about 52.
25,
we just couldn't stop.
25
so
plus.
It's called 25 ways.
But that's going to have some creative ideas, and that will trigger. So just send me an email and say, please send me your Connexcellence book. If anybody was not able to download the PDF book of our ABCs of Living Creatively, I want to encourage you. You can also email me and say, please send me the PDF.
Andreas, I'd also say this is a great opportunity to brainstorm your norm. Get Roland and Nati together, even on Skype or something, and brainstorm together between your 2 families. I know you're close enough. Brainstorm what are some great creative ideas to do as a family. They'll need it. You'll need it. You'll learn from them. They'll learn from you. This is a perfect place to apply B. Brainstorm your norm.
And if you email, for those of you who came late, I want to try to screen share once again. Application window. This is the download that is available right here while we're on this Duzie Live.
It's the book we wrote this month.
Yep, and it was finished last night, actually in the wee hours of this morning. And it looks like this. It's the ABCs of Living Creatively. It's the most expanded version. Again, I want to remind you to go to YouTube if you haven't already, and go to Duzie Potter and subscribe right here, Duzie Potter, and you can see on the playlist the ABCs of Living Creatively. And each one of the ABCs, once again, I got to just call out the warning. Warning, the ABCs of Living Creatively will change your life.
But they'll change it for the good.
Especially when you put them into action. So there's questions about each one of them, like here. And then there's a creative challenge for each day. And we encourage you to complete the book by answering the questions honestly and taking every challenge seriously. Feel free to print out the book and write on it, or use your own journal for processing these questions. For example, here's A. It's Arrest Your Creative Thief. Here is just a motivational area, a motivational little blog about arresting your creative thieves. And then over here is the responsive part. So here's your questions. And again, you can fill them all in here if you've printed it out. And here's the creative challenge.
These are the things we're going to go through on our Fully Alive Revolution together, walking through these steps, showing how what you have chosen this month to live creatively, to live fully alive, how these things are applying and helping you grow.
Yeah, and I just want to drop you down to the very bottom in case you need. These are all of our connection points right here. So there's the book, and here's how you connect with us. So there's our email, connect@duzie.com. There's our Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube is all Duzie Potter. And on the internet, this is my Creatively Alive challenge for this month, is getduzie.com up and running again. So that's how you can connect with us, or any of the other ways that you know how to connect with us. That's also
And here's
fine.
why Suzie had to be creative with it. We were stuck in our old one. Everything was there, and it was like, this is not what we want. And so we pushed the button. We deleted it all, which forced us to create forward, forced us to move forward. And sometimes in our creativity, we have to push that delete button so that we can start afresh.
And initially, it was a definite fail forward. And now it's currently in the learn forward momentum.
And that's what I love about months and
Yeah.
seasons. April comes to the last day, delete. Now we have May. And then in May, I am just looking forward to this Creatively Alive month to share with you, to grow in one area with you. So any other questions we have coming in?
Questions, comments, emotional outbursts. What would you like to hear more about? Also wondering if there's anybody who wants to put your hand up down at the very bottom, right next to the chat section, there's speak. If anybody wants to put their hand up and come in on video, you have to have Chrome. Chrome seems to work the best. Chrome and be on a computer and not on just a phone.
Yeah. Kim Couture, if you're still there, I'm just, even as we're talking, I'm daydreaming, so I can dual task here. But I think that the idea of good grief, that we talk about grief, but base the whole Duzie live experience on good grief.
What do you think?
And looking at grief, but looking at how to pull that good out, how to move forward, but not necessarily move forward fast. Good grief is to be able to breathe through it, to move forward. And I think it's not just grief as far as the loss of a person, but there are so many transitions taking place in everybody's life right now that we need to study how to have good grief as we move forward together.
Yeah, that's right. So what do you think? Kim's got a smiley face. Thank you. I don't know if you're available next week, but it would be good to do it sometime in a soon and coming Tuesday. Kim, let us know which Tuesday you're available, and we'll put that together.
Katie asked the question.
Katie says, what's your podcast going to be about? Dun, 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 dun. Thank you for asking, Katie.
Our whole life right now is centered around how to live fully alive. I'm not sure what the title is going to be, but we're thinking it is the fully alive revolution. It is that how to live fully alive, and everything will be about what is the problem we're having and how do we move forward. And it'll be interviews, it'll be stories, it'll be a lot of different things, but every week focusing on one aspect of here is how to take one step closer to living fully alive. There are different levels. We were studying this the other day, 5 levels of achievement whenever you're growing something. And we want to look at what's the problem, but what does it actually look like when someone is living fully alive? Yeah. And then what's the steps to get there? Because it can't just be one of those things that it's something we want, but we never get there. There's got to be that point where, yes, I am living fully alive. And what actually caused us to get to that place? So that's what this is going to be about. The steps,
the stages of living fully alive.
And we may take a theme for a few weeks or for a month and go very deep into it, but that is going to be an ongoing resource.
Yeah,
and right. It's just as we are learning Susie's just got her books full.
Just a moment.
We're ready to unpack.
I have a thought. So it will be very much along the lines of what will a success path towards living fully alive look like? What are the stages from a beginner who's not living fully alive, like Dan was saying, to a 5 of living fully alive, for example, and talking about the process of the journey. We have been talking about that, but we want to just put that out and continue to unpack that. Talk about what are the characteristics of each stage from not living fully alive to living fully alive. What does that look like? And where are our gaps that we can fill those gaps with milestones or indicators that we're making progress and moving ahead. And there'll be a lot of action items, things to do, not just to think about, but to put into practice to live fully alive. And this is a journey that we're currently living on. And so we're so happy to invite others into it. And the podcast is actually the platform that so many people who are in their teens and 20s, 30s, the next generation is living in a podcast world where they can put something in their ears, multitask, and have some inspiration challenge when they're on the go.
And it's one of those things that we can do, and Susie doesn't have to do her hair. So it's a beautiful thing.
Speaking of hair, Dan just cut my hair yesterday. Didn't he do a great job? Woo!
Yep.
Dan's been doing my hair for a long, long time since we moved from Michigan. He does a great job. So
Megan's got a question, by the way.
Oh, Megan, do you think you can still be creative in grief, or is it a time to rest?
I think creativity thrives in grief. I'm not sure about the rest, but for instance, if something happens, the house burns down, suddenly the grief of the loss causes you to rebuild. I think there are many times where there is the uprooting, there is the destroying that causes us to say, okay, so what's next? You look at some of the incredible things that the grief of some of the refugees that have moved to places and they have to be creative. So I think It is
Yeah.
part of that process. I don't think you have to grieve to be creative, but I think creativity is definitely a part of that.
Yeah.
I think we need to seek rest in our grief, but oftentimes grief produces anxiety. And so it'd be interesting to work on that. And maybe with Kim in one of these Duzie Lives, we'll do that.
Kim says it is the loss of hopes, dreams, expectations too. That's grief. That's right. Changes and loss of hopes, dreams, expectations. So these internal concepts that we had or we're holding on to. Yeah, Kim, I'm just wondering, I'm going to put it out here. We can chat more, but are you available next week? It sounds like this topic is so relevant for right now. Are you available next week, Tuesday? If so, we'll do grief already next week. You can let us know here or just in our personal chat. Katie says, I wonder if lament is the creative expression of grief.
Oh, Katie, write a book on that.
Katie.
Oh, man. That's
lament.
Good stuff.
Could you unpack lament, what you mean by lament for us? And I don't know if I fully understand lament, but it's like the grieving and the
well, you see, David in
physical process.
When David in the Psalms was having Psalms of lament, there was definitely that creative. Yeah. It was a song. It was a creative expression of grief. I think that's one area that I think as followers of Jesus, we love the victory in Jesus, but we don't like the pain. But those laments and songs are also part of our journey. And oh, wow, that is. I don't know if those songs would sell, but they definitely would be sung.
Yeah. And I think that hit Megan right where she's at. She's like, oh, I think that's my creative May thing. I'm going to write a psalm or a lament for each day of May. Wow, Megan. Will you please share that in our Fully Alive Revolution space? Because I think people having written laments or written prayers are very powerful in helping others of us express sometimes what's inside and having a way to put that out.
But I would say when you write your laments, don't write them for other people. You may want to share them, but make sure your laments are honest enough that maybe it's just you writing it and no one's going to see it.
Yeah, maybe it's really not shareable.
Honest, but there may be some then that you could share. That's very true. But sometimes in the midst of this, to produce something, we think, now, how do I make this clean enough or whatever enough for people?
It might need to be super raw.
That's okay.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. I think that's very, very interesting. This loss and grief and lament and rest in the process of processing hard times. For us, when we came off the ship, it was middle of June, 1 year ago. We were really in a transition. We were in a lot of grief and we had just experienced such hard times for ourselves. And our grief and our processing of grief was first to go through a debrief. And then we had time and space. It was like our 100 days to live Sabbath. And that giving ourselves time and space was so vitally important. So, I think rest and giving yourself permission to be in the condition where you are is so important. We talked about having courage, emotional courage to be vulnerable with the reality of where you are and what you're doing in the midst of your season of life. And I think this grief and these laments are really speaking to that as well.
What things going on there?
Mom wants to compliment me on my new hairdo. Thank you. And how's the weather? Vera says it opens up a world of possibilities. Kim says, yes, creativity is integral to healing. That's such a quote.
Yeah.
Wow, I'm going to write that down when we're done with this time. Wow, possibilities, Vera says. Kim says, I think it should work for next Tuesday.
Good grief.
Whoop, whoop. Okay,
good
Kim.
Grief.
We'll be in contact with you. Is WhatsApp the best for us? Whatever, but let's work it out and we'll have some chats about what should fill this space. Ooh, exciting. Okay, everybody, look forward to Good Grief with Kim next week. Thank you. You are such a woman of wisdom And Kim, you're such a woman with the biggest heart for people and journeying with people at whatever pace they are. You are such a person of peace. I don't know. When I think of you, I think peace, but you're just so in depth with wisdom and love and accepting people. So I'm really, I don't know if I can contain the excitement. Good grief with Kim. Wow. Thank you. Thank you. Megan says, I'm always raw when I write. So I might write a bunch and then share with you. And I might, any I feel might be appropriate to share more widely.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're Risk is a creative law. Risk it. R. She's doing the R. Woo. Katie said, what I mean by lament would be the act of expressing grief, frustration, loss. Lament is important in the Bible, not only in moving forward through grief, but also in repentance.
Nice.
Wow. That might be something we need to pull into next week or future weeks too, Katie. Will you help us think about that concept?
Great.
Megan said, I can write an example of a lament for next week if that's helpful. Yep. We'll take it. And Kim says, saying yep. We got that. We got the yep going. Awesome. Katie, you're a writer as well. Maybe we can both do that.
It's good.
Yep.
Double yep.
Yep. Yep. Lots of yeps coming up. I love that. So good. Oh, I'm feeling the energy coming with our synergy, our community impact. Katie said, Megan, yes, I do write. Are you in the Facebook group? We can connect there. Yeah. Awesome.
You're both there.
Yeah, you're both there. So awesome. Be in the group and inspire us even with your creative ideas, your creative challenges.
My commitment is to do stuff in the Facebook group every day in May, except maybe my Sabbaths. That I'm not going to do it anyplace else. It's not going to be. I'm just in the past has been. I'll do it on socials and I'll throw it in there as well. I really want to become active in that space because I think
in this
I'm really needing to dialogue and go back and forth with others like we're doing here. So
yeah, this is very enriching, and this is the concept that we feel we want to have. So if you're bold enough to do it and you have the capacity to do it, we want to encourage you to do videos, even just short videos introducing your lament, for example.
Or audios.
Or
Post
something.
A picture.
Whatever. If it's only a word or a picture and that's all you can do, that's fine. But if you're able to do more, that's going to be more creatively inspiring to us and help us know you and build the community a little bit better. So those of you who are active in that Fully Alive Revolution, we'd love for you to help us make that space. You can put out challenges. You can put out what you'd like it to look like. It's all of our space. We're just hosting it there.
Yeah. Well, it's almost 11 o'clock and we need to take a walk before round 2. We invite any of you to come back for our Duzie.
In 3 hours.
Duzie Live. 3 hours?
Yep, in 3 hours. It's almost 11.
2 hours.
11, 12, 1, 2.
Okay.
3 hours.
So join us again. This has been great.
Something like that.
The two webinars are always
completely
different.
Same subject, but completely different because of who's in the space. And so we want to thank you so much, everyone who has joined us both live and on the replay. Those of you who are live had an impact on what we talked about and what stories we told. We were ready with 30 different stories plus. And you made this space happen. And we are so grateful for you to be in the space. Thank you for those of you who are still here with us.
Those are our notes this morning. And I think we got through everything. So that was
we don't always. But
a lot of times we don't. But we got through that today. So that was good.
Yeah. Again, we are so, so, so grateful to you for being here in this space. We have loved. This is one of our favorite times of the week. We absolutely love Duzie Live because we gear up for it all week. And then we're ready for anything. Yeah, we're ready for anything. And then you guys bring more into it. And it always widens it and expands it. And so you have blessed us today. We are blessed because of you. And we are more creatively alive because of you. So thank you. We do love you. You are awesome.
Live life and see good days. Be creatively alive this week.
Yep.
Bye.